Okay, good evening everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Abbaim. Tonight's Shir on Parshas Vayeishev. Shiurim on Sefer Parshas are dedicated by Mishpachas Zakheim, by Dr. Zakheim and Mishpachta Lilui Nishmas, Reb Shlomo Eliezer ben Rav Yaakov Zakheim, and Lilui Nishmas, Dr. Zakheim's mother, Rivka Bas Tovi Halevi, Began Eden Teim Nuchasam. They should be Melitza Yisharim for the whole family. Ad B'Yaskel Tzedek. Tonight's shir is dedicated anonymously as Refuah Shlema for David ben Rachel. Should have Refuah Shlema B'Karei B'Soshar Chalei Yisrael. Tonight's shir is also dedicated by our good friends the Ruzhin and Ryabinsky family in honor of Rameir Bal Hanes' yard site, which is Rosh Chodesh Teves, according to this new sefer, and also in honor of their grandson Nachum Yisrael's birthday. They should see a lot of nachas from their grandson and from all of their descendants with Simchas Nachas Ad B'Yaskel Tzedek. So we have excellent good news to tell everyone. First of all, we saved you a parking spot. Instead of schlepping out to the store and having to buy a Hanukkah present, you come to the shir.
Tickets.
Yeah, we save you gas, we save you toll, wear and tear on your car, going into the store. Then when you go into the store, you're going to meet your friend. He's going to chew your ear off for a half hour. So I saved you now a good 2 hours. You could get the book right here, Rameir Bal Hanes and the Eternal Children of Hashem. You see now, if you're on Zoom, you're not going to be able to get the book through Zoom. You're going to have to come here live. That's one of the advantages of being here live. Also, this book, you think you got it last year, but like we mentioned, you have no idea where you put it. So you need to get it again, of course. The Light and the Splendor on Hanukkah. Marv Rabbi says, you want to know what's next? Okay, Baruch Hashem, the next one is basically finished. It's in Lashon HaKodesh on Chinuch Habanim. So if anybody would like to participate in honor of Hanukkah, that's available. Because you know what Shlomo HaMelech says, Asoy Sfarim Harbe Ein Kates, that what's holding up the Geula is there not enough books. So we're trying to expedite the Geula. When there are enough books, then Mashiach will come. Okay, Marv Rabbi Sai, we are going to turn everything around that we've ever learned about the subject 180 degrees. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I know everything about this subject. We've been speaking about it for many, many weeks and many, many years. But we've been taking one approach all these years. Now, we're going to make a complete 180. We're going to switch everything we learned in a totally different direction. Let's begin with Mechiras Yosef. So the pasuk says, "Vayeshvu le'echol lechem." The brothers sat to eat bread. They were planning to kill Yosef. That was a plan. They paskined in the Bezdin Shalmata that Yosef is a roidev, that Yosef is a mard b'malchus, and they were going to kill him. And all of a sudden, Vayisu einayim, and they lifted their eyes. Vayiru v'hine, behold, Orchas YISHMAELim, a caravan of Ishmaelites, ba'a migilad, coming from Gilad. Ugmalehem noisim nichais utsri v'loit. Their camels were carrying fragrant spices. Holchin lahirin mitzrayma. And they have an einfal. We have a great idea. What do we gain by killing our brother and covering up his blood? Instead of killing him, let's sell him to YISHMAELim. Let us go and sell him to the Ishmaelites. And let us not send our hand against him, because he is our flesh. And the brothers heard. Now, in years past, we had the following idea. This is one of my favorite all-time ideas. It's an original idea. We know the famous question of the Maharal, that why is YISHMAEL not one of the four Golosim? Right? We discussed this recent. We have Golos Bavel, we have Golos Paras, we have Yavan, we have Edom. Why isn't YISHMAEL one of them? So we said many years ago, a Chidush Nifla, and we substantiated it very well, that in fact there's another Golos that's not on the list. And that's in a way the mother of all Golosim. Which Golos? Egypt. Mitzrayim is not on the list. And the Arizal says the reason why Mitzrayim is not on the list is the Yud Kei Vav Kei stands for the four Golosim, represents the four Golosim. And the Kutzoi Shel Yud, the thorn of the Yud, represents all four Golosim, the mother of all four. What's the mother that's Koilel all four? Mitzrayim is Koilel all four. Mitzrayim is like encompasses all four golosim. That's why Mitzrayim, we always have the word Rabim. Rabim stands for all four golosim that are Mitzrayim. Now, we brought an idea that the same way Mitzrayim encapsulates and encompasses all four golosim, YISHMAEL also encompasses all four golosim. Why? Because actually YISHMAEL and Mitzrayim may be synonymous with each other. How so? YISHMAEL's mother was Hagar. Hagar was Paro's daughter. YISHMAEL married someone from Mitzrayim. YISHMAEL is always hanging out in Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim's malach is Rahav. YISHMAEL's malach is Rahav. We brought many proofs that YISHMAEL and Mitzrayim are synonymous. So we had this suggestion that YISHMAEL sends us down to Egypt, and that's the first Golos. And the last Golos is YISHMAEL also. The Golos Rishon is the Golos Achrein. But let's take this in another direction tonight. Yehuda and the brothers were about to kill Yosef. And they said, nah, let's sell him to Yishmaelim. Vayavru anoshim Midyanim, and Midianites passed by, Switcharoo, merchants, Vayimshechu Vayalus Yosef min habar, and they drew Yosef up from the pit. Vayimkaru es Yosef la YISHMAELim, they sold Yosef to Yishmaelim. By the way, you know how much? Esrim Kasef. $20. So this is pretty interesting. Did you ever realize that the ones who sold Yosef were YISHMAEL? YISHMAEL was the one who sent Yosef down to Mitzrayim. Did you realize that? That Mechiras Yosef took place through Yishmaelim? So let's stop and focus on that for a moment. First question, do you think it's a coincidence that YISHMAEL sent Yosef down to Mitzrayim? Do you think it just happened to be? Oh, look, YISHMAELim. It could have been North Koreans, but it happened to be YISHMAELim. And whoever it would have been able to sell Yosef? Or do you think it was Bedavka that the YISHMAELim sent him down to Mitzrayim? You have to say, great things are never coincidental. It must have been Bedavka that Hashem orchestrated, that the YISHMAELim sent him down to Mitzrayim. And moreover, not just that Hashem orchestrated, that the brothers felt that the YISHMAELim would be the proper way to send Yosef down to Mitzrayim. In other words, if they were trying to eradicate Yosef, I would imagine the brothers, by seeing YISHMAELim, said, yeah, these are the right guys. If we're not going to kill him, at least let's give him to YISHMAEL. Why do you think that would be? Well, what's the other option? We know there are two fatherheads of nations. Who are they? There's YISHMAEL and there's Esav. And we understand implicitly that there's no way the brothers would have given YISHMAEL to Esav. Why? Because we know Yosef to Esav. Why? Because we know Yosef is the Sitnai Shel Esav. Yosef is the antidote of Esav. This is a well-known idea that after Parshas Vayeishev, when the Torah records all the families of Esav, and then the pasuk says, Eila Toldos Yaakov Yosef, Rashi's troubled. Why is the story of Yosef juxtaposed to the families of Esav? So Rashi says the following mashal. It's like a guy who has a lot of linen, a lot of flax, and the camels come in laden with flax. And the blacksmith wonders, where are you going to put all this flax? Where are you putting all this stuff? And there was a pikeach over there. He says, what do you mean where I'm putting this? One spark is going to come out of your bellows, and it's going to burn the whole thing. So too, Yaakov saw all the chieftains of Esav. He wondered, he said, who could conquer all of these leaders of Esav? What does it say after? Eile, Toldos, Yaakov, Yosef. We know the house of Yaakov is fire. The house of Yosef is a flame. The house of Esav is straw. One spark will come out of Yosef and destroy the whole Esav. So we have a well-known idea. Yosef destroys Esav. So do you think it's a coincidence? The brother is trying to get rid of Yosef. You think it's a coincidence that they give him to YISHMAEL? Of course it's not a coincidence. This is the best and only option. Who else are they going to give him to? Esav. Yosef will destroy Esav. Yosef's the fire that destroys the flax of Esav. The brothers probably, their eyes lit up, and you see that in the pasuk. They were about to kill him. They said, what do we need to kill him for? We'll hire hitmen.
Well, why would it have been so bad if they came there, if he did destroy Esav?
Because they needed to kill Yosef. Come on. If you have an inside Jewish enemy and an outside enemy from outside, who bothers you more? Who gets on your nerves more? There's no fight like a family fight. You're not interested in, no. It's the guy next door who has the competing operation to you. They were more focused on getting rid of Yosef. They were about to kill him. Look at the lashon of the pasuk. V'hinei archas YISHMAEL. They couldn't believe it. Why should we do the dirty work? Right? Imagine like this. They're about to kill him, and all of a sudden 10 hitmen walk by. Perfect, jackpot. Why should we kill him? We'll give him to YISHMAEL. Because one thing's for sure, we have no evidence that Yosef is effective against YISHMAEL. We just learned the beginning of the Parshas, Vayeishev Yaakov Eretz Megurei Av Eretz Canaan, that Yosef's the antidote to Esav. But we don't know that Yosef could overcome YISHMAEL.
Why does it say first in the Pasuk, Rabbi?
I don't do what? Yeah.
And then it says they called them YISHMAEL. What were they?
Everyone has two different. Everyone has different passports, different identities, social security cards. It's a big question. Ayin Barashbam, Ayin Barashi. But one thing is that the YISHMAELim were responsible for selling Yosef, and I would assert that the brothers were only too happy to give Yosef to YISHMAEL. They dafka gave him to YISHMAEL. Their eyes lit up when the YISHMAELim came. Now let's try to explain why exactly is Yosef the antidote to Esav. Why is that? What about Yosef specifically counteracts Esav? You know, it's very interesting. Yosef is given two names in this week's Parsha. One name is, it says, Eila Toldos Yaakov Yosef, Ben Shiva, Esrei Shana, Haya Raya Esecha Batzayin V'hu Nar. So, most read the word V'hu Nar, that it's a criticism of Yosef. What's Yosef? Yosef's a nar. What does it mean, is a nar? Rashi says, he oisa masa naros. He was acting in an immature fashion. He was misalsel basaroi. He was into his looks. That's a simple reading according to Rashi. But you could ask, we don't know anything about Yosef thus far. The Torah has not said a word about Yosef. Yosef, in a way, is one of the avos. There's an idea, there's Avram, Yitzhak, Yaakov, and Yosef was a av and a ben. Yosef was the greatest of all the Shvatim. So you think in the open introduction to Yosef, it's going to say, you know what Yosef is? Yosef's a nar. Why are we criticizing him right away? What else does it say about him? Yeah? Vayashav el achav, vayomer, hayeled einenu. He's also a kid. He's not a kid. He's 17 years old. He's not a nar. Nar is not 17. And he's not a yeled. Why are we giving Yosef these names? Comes the Shem YISHMAEL. Now the Shem YISHMAEL is very hard to find. It's not on this week's Parsha. It's on Parshas Vayeishev, 2 Parshas ago. And he says from the holy Tata, the Avnei Nezer. The Avnei Nezer says that if you want to know what the vulnerable point of Esav was and why Yosef was able to overcome Esav, all you need to do is look at their names. What does the word Esav mean? Where does the word Esav come from? Asoy, the Rashbam says. He's ready-made. He's made already. He's done. He's complete. So you say, if the word Esav is a lashon of Asoy, where did the Yud come from? Where did the Yud go? You know, he should be called Asoy. What does Esav mean? Well, you can ask the same question on Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov comes from a lashon of Akev. Where did he get the Yud from? The answer, Megal Mukhay says, is that Yaakov was holding the heel of Esav. So Esav was originally spelled Ayin Sin Vav Yud. Yaakov took his heel, he grabbed the tail end of the Yud, and he appendaged it to his name. Good?
There was no email. Yeah.
It was.
But there's still a share.
You need a brush?
Okay. So, no, it's not.
No?
No.
This week?
No.
No?
No. Yud Aleph Adar.
Maybe that's another one,
There might be a different tzaddik because your tzaddik is tomorrow, but not the Avnei Nezer. I'm from Switcharoo. There's one thing I know is the Avnei Nezer. By the way, you know who else has the same yard set as the Avnei Nezer? The Chida. The Chida and the Avnei Nezer have the same yard set. Yud Aleph Adar. And this year, we could celebrate it twice because there are two Adars. But tomorrow, you know whose yard set is tomorrow? I don't know, but tomorrow night is Hanukkah, right? So it's the Aruch LaNer's yard set probably. Yeah, okay. Rabbi Aaron Leib Stein.
Same mishpacha, no?
Kol Yisrael Chaverim, yeah.
Yevanim yard set.
Exactly. Anyway, Esav means ready-made. You know what the vulnerability of Esav was? Vulnerability of Esav was he looked at himself and he says, I've already made it. My grandfather is Avram Avinu. My father is Yitzchak. I have the Yichus. I'm the next Rosh Hashiva. I'm going to be sitting up front. My whole career is laid out before me. I don't need to work. I don't need to earn anything on my own. I have the Yichus, I have the Steller, I have the position, I have the Yerusha. It's all lined up. Asoy, I'm ready to go. I don't need to grow. I don't need to learn more. I don't need to humble myself in front of other tzaddikim. I don't need a Rebbe. What do I need a Rebbe? My grandfather's the Gadol Hadar. My father was the Gadol Hadar. That's why very often people who come from prestigious Yichus often don't live up to what they could have been because they sort of rely on the fact that, you know, they're entitled to everything. Esav's vulnerability was he's asoy, he's ready-made. He doesn't need to grow, he doesn't need to be mashlam himself, he doesn't need to accomplish anything. Life has been handed to him on a silver platter. He's already done. Mashein came, there's a man by the name of Yosef. And you know what Yosef's godless was? Yosef always viewed himself as he's a nar. He's a young boy. And he could learn more. And he could learn from another Rebbe. And he could accomplish more. And yes, he learned Shas. But he didn't learn Shas with Tosfos. So in his mind, it's Ke'ilu, he knows nothing. And when he learned with Tosfos, he didn't learn with the Marsha and the Pnei Yeshua and the Maram Shif. Whatever Madrega he gained in life, he viewed himself as he's just beginning. Like tzaddikim say, Pischuli Sharei Tzedek, Avoivam Oideka. Open for me the gates. The tzaddikim say, I'm only in the beginning of the gate. I'm only at the entranceway. The Maila of Yosef HaTzadik is, he was a nar. It's not a criticism, it's his greatness. The greatest accolade. You know why Yosef was the continuity of Yaakov? You know why Yosef was the leader of the Jewish people? You know why Iker Toldos Yaakov was Yosef? You know why Elah Toldos Yaakov Yosef? Because Vehu nar! Because he viewed himself as a young boy his whole life. And he viewed himself as a Yeled. What? As a child who needs a Rebbe, he needs chinuch, he needs training, he needs to learn, he needs to grow. He's always adding, Maila upon Maila upon Maila. The word Yosef means he's always adding. Esav was done. Yosef was always adding to his greatness, learning a little bit more, growing a little bit more. This is the main nekuda between Esav and Yosef. It's everything is in the name, says Avnei Nezer. Yosef's greatness, that he was always growing like a young boy, he viewed himself, that he's not a sholem, he's barely there. That was the nekuda that helped him overcome Esav. By the way, Rabbi Sol Salanter would say, that why does Hashem love Klal Yisrael? The pasuk says, Kinar Yisrael ve'oihavai ve'ehavehu. Klal Yisrael has the madrega that we always view ourselves like a child, where we need to grow, we need to learn more, we need chinuch. By the way, you know the pasuk says, Ayer pere Adam yivaled. Literally, like a wild, I'll say it in a nice way, mule, man is born. Man is born a wild mule. However, the Alter of Kelm would say, Ayer para, man is a wild mule. Adam yivaled. He has to, from that, be born into a man. How are you born into a man? Chinuch. Now, chinuch doesn't just mean your parents training you. Chinuch means chanoich lenar al pi darkoi gam ki yazkin lo yasir meno means like this. Train your child so that even when he grows older, he'll realize he now needs to continue to train himself. The purpose of chinuch is not, okay, I'm going to train the kid until he's 12, and then, okay, kid, see you later. It's you ingrain in the child the need to constantly grow and to learn from people and to work on himself. So, says the Alter of Kelm, to the extent that a person is born a man, Ayer Pera, man is born a mule. Adam Yivale, the avodah in life is to be born a man from there. So, Reb Shmuel Rozovsky, whose yahrzeit is not tomorrow. It's on my birthday. Chavav Tammuz. The day before my birthday. Chav Hei Tammuz. Reb Shmuel Rozovsky says, but not just Tam, I was born the next day. Reb Shmuel Rozovsky says that if you look on the Baal HaTurim Parshas Truma, what was the image on the Kruvim? Two angels. What did they look like? The Baal HaTurim says, very good, Rav Shmuel, Kiravia. It says Keruvim, but the Baal HaTurim says Kruvim chaser, Kiravia, like children. Kinar Yisrael v'oy haveu. Says Rav Shmuel Rozovsky, the meaning of the Baal HaTurim is if you want to know why does Hashem rest on the Jewish people, what midah do we have that Hashem communicates with us, that Hashem is close to us, that Hashem resides with us, that we have this madrega, that we could be parents, we could be grandparents, we could be great-grandparents, but we always want to grow. We want chinuch, we want to learn from people who are greater than us. We want to learn from everybody. We want to add, like Yosef HaTzadik, to be Yosef, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. That madrega is what is Shoira, the Shechina on Klal Yisrael. The bottom line is, Yosef is the antidote to who? Esav. Okay. So we're suggesting that's why the brothers are selling Yosef to, not Esav. They would never sell him to Edomim, to take him to Edom. Yosef would wipe the floor with them. Where do they sell Yosef? Mitzrayim. Who's Mitzrayim? YISHMAEL are the proxies of Mitzrayim. Yeah, Mitzrayim and YISHMAEL, they're in cahoots. Because the brothers didn't think Yosef has any shlita over YISHMAEL. And now, Rabbi Yosef, fasten your seatbelts, because we've been speaking about this topic literally for over 10 years, and we always took one approach, and now we're flipping it, okay? Because there's another approach. If anybody has ever listened to any of the Shiurim, you're going to know the answer to it. Please tell me you know the answer to this question. There are two Mashiachs. There's Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David. Mashiach ben Yosef is called what? What animal? Shar. Mashiach ben Yosef is going to take us out of which Golos? Golos Edom. Golos Edom, because Esav is called a par or a shar. And then Mashiach ben David, who's called Ani v'roichev al chamar, he's going to take us out of Golos YISHMAEL, who's called Shavula Champayim ha chamar. Right? We've said that a million times. We said it last week, and more than that. Okay, this is one of the, I would call it, one day we'll have a shir, top 10 principles of the shir. Yeah, definitely Reb Meir would be up there. Mashiach ben Yosef, Mashiach ben David. Yeah, let's see. Anyone smiling over here? Okay. No, there's a cat watching the shir. Okay. There's someone in Tiveria. How you doing, Reb Josh? There's someone in North Woodmere, Lawrence, and a cat. Okay.
Oh, the Democrats is
and Democrats are... That can't argue with that. Okay, so we've said this many, many times that Mashiach ben Yosef will take us out of Golos Edom, Esav. Mashiach ben David comes last and takes us out of Golos YISHMAEL. And this fits into this idea that Yosef has shlita over Esav. So therefore Mashiach ben Yosef takes us out of Golos Esav. But here's the thing. The brothers also thought, like we've been saying for the last 10 years, that Yosef has shlita over Esav, so they send him to YISHMAEL. But clearly, Yosef has more power than meets the eye. Because they send him down to Mitzrayim. Vayeishev hu shalit b'chol haaretz. So we're going to learn now that it's not so simple to say that Golus, that Mashiach ben Yosef takes us out of Golus Edom, and Mashiach ben David takes us out of Golus YISHMAEL. Let's start with the Megala Mukos. The Megala Mukos says there are two powers of evil in the world: Samach and Pei. Samach is Esav, because Esav has 60 kings. 80 Pei is YISHMAEL, because they have 80 concubines, like it says in Shir Shiurim. Shishim Hema Malachim Ushmoinim Pilagshim. Samach is Esav. Pei is YISHMAEL. That is why, if you look in the Balaturim in Bechukais, in the beginning of Bechukais, it says, in Bechukaisai Teilechu, in the beginning of Bechukais until the Teichacha, there's no Samach and there's no Pei, because if you keep the Torah, you don't have to deal with Esav, you don't have to deal with YISHMAEL. By the way, in V'yiten Lacha, there's no Samach and there's no Pei, because the bracha of Yitzchak to Yaakov is to overcome Esav and YISHMAEL. There's one person who's able to overcome both Esav and YISHMAEL, because he's got a Samach and a Pei. Yosef. Yosef. Says the Megala Mukos, Yosef has a Samach and a Pei. No other Shevet has not a Samach or a Pei. Let's say Zevulun. No Samach, no Pei. God. God. No Samach, no Pei. Done. No Samach or Pei. You try it. I'm ready for you. Binyamin. Naphtali. What?
God has, no?
Significance of Pesach.
Reb Pesach Yoel is saying Pei and Samach takes us out of Edom and YISHMAEL. Very good, Reb Pesach Yoel.
So that's significant. That's one your answer.
Very good. You also have a Pei and a Samach in your name. Okay, I'm going to hang around with you. Okay? So Yosef has a Pei and a Samach. He's able to overcome Esav. He's able to overcome YISHMAEL. Now, I got a sefer this week that was mamish out of print. I really wanted to bring it in. I want to thank my dear friend Rabbi Gedalia Schwartz. 4 volumes. It's called Kates Hayamin. It was written by the son of Rav Sorotskin in Lakewood. 4 volumes on Achras Hayamim, on what's going to happen before Mashiach comes. Now, I only found out about it recently. Somebody got it for me in English a little while ago. 4 massive volumes. Baruch Hashem, most of our conclusions over the years jibe with what he comes out with. But there are a few interesting things that I picked up. So here's one of them. Again, until now, based on the Gra taught us, Mashiach ben Yosef takes us out of Galus Edom, Mashiach ben David takes us out of Galus YISHMAEL. However, in a number of places, the Gra says the exact opposite. Number 1, in Masechta B'chayros, there are Gemaras about the Chachmei de Be'atuna, the sages of Athens. The sages of Athens. Maybe in the summer we'll go, if the world allows. But the sages of Athens. And the Gemara asks, Sakina b'mai katle, who kills a knife? And the Gemara says, the horn of a donkey. Who kills a knife? The horn of a donkey. Says the Gemara. So the Gemara asks that question. The Gemara asks, but a donkey doesn't have a horn. Ayin sham in Becharis and Daf Ches. But I'm not getting involved in that question. It's a good question. I'm not getting involved in the fact that donkeys don't have horns. Well, you know that? You saw? How do you know? Yeah? Prove it. Yeah. No, but the Gemara asks, donkeys don't have horns. A unicorn. Anyway, Fresh says the Gemara. You know what the Gemara's question is? Who's going to kill the knife? Whose weapon is the sword? Whose weapon is al-char b'chasichya? That's Keshes. V'hu roivek hashas. Esav is al-char b'chasichya. So the question is, who's going to kill Esav? says the Gemara, and don't say, says the Gra, and it's not Mashiach ben Yosef. Mashiach ben Yosef is Bechar Shoirai. He comes first. Aval Esav lo yipol biyadai. Esav will not fall to Mashiach ben Yosef. In fact, Ein ben David ba Acha tispashet Malchus Harashah. That's Edom. 9 months throughout the world. Who's going to kill Esav? Who's going to destroy Galus Edom? The horn of the donkey. Who's the donkey? Mashiach ben David. So every single thing we ever said in a shir about Mashiach ben Yosef, Mashiach ben David, this Gra says not like that. Now, everything we said was based on the Gra, in his commentary to Safra Ditzniusa, and in his commentary to Chad Gadya. But in the Gra's Biurei Agadois on Bechayros, he says, Mashiach ben David's going to take us out of America.
Where?
Another Gra. The Gra in the Imrei Noam on Brachos. The Gra says, first Mashiach ben Yosef could come in the beginning of the 5th millennia, in the Elef HaChamishi, in the year 4000. And that will come through Mashiach ben Yosef. But Esav will not fall until the Elef HaShishi, Mashiach ben David. So again, the Gra in Imrei Noam says, Mashiach ben David's going to take us out of Galus Edom. So the Sefer Ketz Hayamin says, is a stira in the words of the Gra. Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben Yosef. For the last 10 years, we're saying Mashiach ben David takes us out of Galus YISHMAEL. Mashiach ben Yosef will come first and take us out of Galus Edom. No, the Gra in Tu Makoyim says pink fakert. So it says Rav Sorotzkin in a footnote. If it would just be a stira in the Gra, you could answer like this. Perhaps the majority of Edom will fall to Mashiach ben Yosef. They'll retain a little bit of power, and Mashiach ben David will knock off whatever's left all the way in the end. When he's knocking off YISHMAEL, he'll knock off a little bit of what's left of Galus Edom. But there's a very interesting comment of the Nesivos HaMishpat on Chad Gadya. The Nesivos says, the Shar is YISHMAEL, not the Chamar. And Mashiach ben Yosef will take us out of Galus YISHMAEL. So basically it seems like we have a full-fledged stira.
He's going to get killed, Mashiach ben Yosef.
It seems like he might get killed, and the Arizal says when you say V'Shalayim Ircha, you should pray Mashiach ben Yosef doesn't get killed. So I want to present to you tonight 2 answers to this question. One is very clear, and one is out of this world. It was worthwhile to drive all the way here just to hear the second answer. The first answer, you should know on your own. Who will be the last nation standing? Esav or YISHMAEL? Remember, YISHMAEL, we know who that is. Who's Esav?
Her.
Okay. Who will be the last man standing? Now, one thing we know for sure. First comes Mashiach ben Yosef, and then comes Mashiach ben David. That's for sure. Because Yosef is Bechar Shoira, he's the Bechar. Mashiach ben David, he's taking us to the finish line, yeah? But which nation stands last? It's a Gemara in Yuma. The Gemara in Yuma says there'll be 2 nations that stand in the end of days, Parshas and Roimi. Parshas is who according to the Maral? YISHMAEL. So who stands last? We have a machlekes. Rebbe says, Asidin, Roimi, Shetipal, Biad, Rebbe says, Asidin, Paras, Shetipal, Biad, Roimi. Can you get me Gemara Yuma? Rabbi Yochanan agrees. Rabbi Yochanan says, Asidin, Roimi, Shetipal, Biad, Paras. Rebbe, you got this? Rebbe and Rabbi Yochanan, they both hold. YISHMAEL stands last. Rav says, Rome stands last. So it's a machlekes. Who stands last?
Can we Hebrew?
Yeah? Shkaya. Dafia, thank you very much. Okay, you ready? You should know this Gemara. Daf Yud and Yuma. The Gemara brings the machlekes. The Gemara says, Amar Rav Yochanan Mishum Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Elaya Asida Roimi Shetipol Biad Paras. Amar Rabbi Asida Roimi Shetipol Biad Paras. And then Rav says Asidin Paras Shetipol Biad Roimi. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav Ein Ben David Ba Ad Shetispashin Malchus Rishah B'Chol Olam Kulai. Bottom line is it's machlekes who stands last, YISHMAEL or Esav. So Rav Sorotzkin says there's no stira in the Gra. It's not a machlekes, the Gra and the Nesivos. When we traditionally have always been saying that Mashiach ben Yosef takes us out of Galus Edom and Mashiach ben David takes us out of Galus YISHMAEL, that's going lefi the shitas of Rebbe and Rabbi Yochanan that YISHMAEL stands last. So if YISHMAEL stands last, Mashiach ben David must be taking us out of Galus YISHMAEL, and then Mashiach ben Yosef is taking us out of Galus Edom. And the Gra, who says that Mashiach ben David takes us out of Edom and Mashiach ben Yosef takes us out of YISHMAEL, is going according to the shitas of Rav that Edom stands last. I mean, there's no machlekes over here. There's not a stira in the Gra. It's dependent on which shita in the Gemara you go like. The Gemara brings three shitas. Rebbe and Rabbi Yochanan says the YISHMAELim stand last. So if YISHMAELim stand last, Mashiach ben David takes us out of Galus YISHMAEL. According to Rav, Edom stands last. So the Gra in that shita is saying Mashiach ben David takes us out of Galus Edom. But here's the real whopper.
What's the difference? Who takes us out from who?
Well, one big difference is which country stands last? The one you're in, or the one that you don't want to be in? Yeah, that might make that's going to make a big difference. No, you hear what I'm saying? There's some countries. There are travel bans too, right? You don't want to be in those countries. You don't want those countries to be standing last. You'd prefer this one stands last. Now, you want Mashiach ben David coming to this one. You want the final Mashiach coming to this one, not the second class Mashiach. But here's the whopper of the century. You ready for this? Let's assume like we've assumed all the years. Like the Gra and the Safra D'Tzniusa. Like the Gra and Chad Gadya. That Esav is called a Shar, and Mashiach ben Yosef will take us out of Galus Edom. And YISHMAEL is called a Chamar, and Mashiach ben David will take us out of Galus YISHMAEL. But there's a man by the name of Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu has in his family Esav, which is Midas HaGevura, Din on the left side. He has YISHMAEL, which is Midas HaChesed to the Extreme on the right side. And he needs to overcome both of these forces. And he knows in the family there's going to be Yehuda, who normally Yehuda is going to overcome Esav, Midas Hadin, and Yosef, which is Chesed, is going to overcome YISHMAEL. But the problem is, Yaakov Avinu, the Zohar Kadosh saw that Yehuda was going to be exiled to Esav. And Yosef is going to be exiled to YISHMAEL. So even though technically speaking, listen to this, as Ayim Benayah. Technically speaking, Mashiach ben David needs to overcome YISHMAEL, like we learned, and Mashiach ben Yosef needs to overcome Edom. But Yaakov foresaw the day will come when Yehuda, that's us, we're from Shevet Yehuda, we're coming to America. We're not going to Yemen. We're not joining the Houthis, whatever their names are. We're here in Edom. So, but wait a second. We're David. what are we doing in America? And the 10 Shvatim, they were exiled to YISHMAEL. What are they doing? What's Yosef doing in YISHMAEL? So Yaakov Avinu on his deathbed, you know what he did? He took Ephraim and Menashe, Shikel es Yadav, and he switched their jobs. And he gave Mashiach ben David the ability to overcome Edom. And he gave Yosef the ability to overcome YISHMAEL. That's the Zohar Kadosh in the Raya de Mehemna Parshas Pinchas. That this was the kavan of Yaakov Avinu when he switched Menashe and Ephraim Shikel Yadav. He switched the roles of Mashiach ben David and Mashiach ben Yosef. So even though maybe technically speaking, Yosef is suited to overcome Esav, and David is suited to overcome YISHMAEL, something switched. Something switched. Now
most of them the son of Yosef, right?
yeah, but the two of them represented Mashiach ben David and Mashiach ben Yosef. That's what the Zohar Kadosh says. Okay, now. So does that mean Mashiach ben David now can only overcome Esav, and Mashiach ben Yosef could only overcome YISHMAEL? So you say, well, maybe they still have Shirayim from their first job. I would say like this. Yaakov Avinu took them. He didn't switch them. He switched his hands, which means they remain in their original spot. The Shlach Kadosh says a similar idea. They remained, in other words, fundamentally Yosef still has the ability to overcome Esav. And Yehuda, David has the ability to overcome YISHMAEL. But by switching his hands, Yaakov gave each one a little bit of both. So wherever country we're in, you know, you could have Jews that go back and forth between America and one place, you know. So we could simultaneously be in two Galasim. So maybe even in America we're in two Galasim. You know, it depends where you live in New York. You know? You could be you could start off the night in Galus YISHMAEL and come out here to Galus Edom. So Yaakov Avinu, he didn't switch their places. So they still have the same fundamental role, but by switching his hands, by the way, the Gra writes the same thing in his Biurim HaMasechta Megillah. He says, the two long legs of the Nevuah that Daniel saw, Esav and YISHMAEL, represent Esav and YISHMAEL. Into them was the Galus of Yehuda and Ephraim, the secret of Shikel es Yadav. So Rav Sorotzkin suggests that this Zohar is the key to understand how to reconcile the various statements of the Gra. In other words, it's not black and white that Mashiach ben Yosef takes us out of Esav and Mashiach ben David takes us out of YISHMAEL. It could be it's dependent on which Shita the last remaining Galus will be. And number two, by Yaakov switching his hands, that's the title of the Shir, the Great Switcharoo. I'm not sure exactly all the kavanas of that, I can't reveal right now. But basically, this Maisa of Shikel es Yadav, I wasn't sure if I was going to give this share this week or I was going to wait to Vayechi, but I couldn't wait. So this action of Yaakov Avinu infused both Mashiachin with the ability to take us out of both. We should be Zoicha to see
who will it be? Will it be Yosef and David?
I'm going to say off the record right after the shir. But this is a sort of a new vista in understanding the events that we should be Zoicha to see unfold B'Karev Mamish, and we should see Yeshuais v'Nachamais Lanu L'Chol Yisrael Amen. Shkayach.
Do we know who's going to be?
What do you mean?
Or it's going to be themselves? Yosef and David.
Who is it going to be?
Yes.
That's what I'd like.